2.
Cheers.
Cheers. Hey, brother.
Hey,
Welcome, bro.
we're recording, huh?
We're recording.
We're live.
You're here in person.
It's pretty cool.
In my office.
It's been fun hanging out with you.
We've been spending the last day or so together.
We've been hanging out with some wild geese.
Yes. Wild Goose Festival.
Yeah.
Because of a mutual friend that you introduced me to, who's been on the podcast a couple times now, Steve Chalk.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's pretty impressive.
He's pretty impressive.
Every time I meet with him and hang out, my mind's blown.
Yeah.
And I know we recorded his podcast episode yesterday, which probably got released last week.
Yeah,
by the
probably
time you're hearing this.
Probably the week before this one, yeah.
And I got to follow that, so it's kind of big shoes to fill, but I'll try my best.
This is my friend in the last year and a half or so.
Something like that.
Well, this is his book. We might talk about this, Unorthodox.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I like the title because as I've gotten to know you, you look at the world and you see it through a lens, first of all, of the love of God. But
I try to.
yes,
it's an ongoing journey. Yes.
But guys, the community that we have right now, the Rethinking God with Taco Circle community.
Yeah, and your new book.
And the new book, the Rethinking God with Tacos book, is in part because of this man who reached out over a year ago. And we're going to talk a little bit about who you are and some of even what you shared earlier today with Steve at this what'd you call it, a festival?
Festival?
Yeah. But I'm so thankful for you, man. I'm thankful for our friendship, for getting to know you, for the skills and the gifts you have, for the unwavering commitment to the good news and the grace.
And it is good news, isn't it?
Yes. The grace to navigate all the spaces, because you're in a lot of spaces. But share a little bit. And before we go any further, Allison, we got to just talk about Allison.
Yeah.
Yes.
She is the reason why,
his daughter.
She makes me look good.
His daughter.
Yeah.
If you're a part of the community, you'll get to know her. She's very involved there, but grateful for her and you in my life and all things tacos related. But share a little bit about who you are, man.
Yeah, I'm originally from the Netherlands. That's why I sound a little bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger. People are like, where is his accent from? But I'm from the Netherlands, born and raised. I was raised in a religious environment where the God we served loved some people sometimes.
Yeah.
Very Calvinistic,
Right.
Dutch Reformed Church. If you're familiar with Dutch Reformed Church, here in the States, it's very different than it is right here. Very religious. My dad was a deacon, black suit, black tie, designated seat. Look at that. Alexa wants our attention.
Go ahead.
The things of AI, it mingles with everything.
It's never done that?
No. Well, I have that effect. Yeah. So very religious environment. So I remember I've had two experiences in my life that kind of marked my journey, I would say.
Yeah.
And one was early on. So I'm growing up in this environment where the God I serve loves some people sometimes.
Yeah.
And something felt off about that. Yeah. But I remember when I was about 8 years old, I remember sitting in the living room, watching TV by myself. We had this old black and white TV. It's the only thing we could afford in our family.
Yeah.
And it was turned on with a screw because the knob broke. And my dad he used to be a do-it-yourself handyman. Had like a hardware store and could fix everything. So he had to pull on the screw and it would take 10 minutes to warm up and then you could watch. But I remember I was watching this TV show. It was a Christian TV show. Long story short, as I'm watching this, I'm reading the subtitles. That's how we learn English in my country.
Right.
We watch American television, Dutch subtitles, and that's how we become fluent.
Yeah. It didn't work for me. I grew up in Canada and I don't know French.
You don't know French?
No.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, it worked for me.
Yeah.
So I'm for some reason something happened in whatever show I was watching, and I had this spiritual encounter with God, and I just knew that He was real.
Yeah.
I'm like 8 years old.
Right.
And I had a problem though, because on Sunday morning I was dragged to
Right.
church, sometimes twice,
Right.
to sit in a pew in an environment that was very different than that experience that I had.
Right.
There was no shadow of a doubt that there was a divine entity that loved me based on that experience. But when I went to church, I only had one conclusion, which was God is real, but He doesn't go to church. So, because it was like night and day.
Right. The God you'd met wasn't there.
So I always knew that God was bigger than the religious system that we create.
Right.
Which always caused me to ask questions. I
Right.
remember as a little boy, I was challenging the religious culture we were part of. You know, Sunday was a no-go for pretty much anything.
Right.
I asked questions about that. You know, why are we getting gas if we can't work, and we let these people work, pump our gas, and I had always these questions like, why do we do the things we do in the religious system that we create? So I knew God is bigger. There was more of God. I always say, those who've heard me speak before, there's this saying I say, it's like, there's more of God to discover outside of a religious paradigm than there is of Him to discover inside of a religious paradigm.
Right.
But somehow we choose to spend our time inside of our religious paradigms. Yeah. While if we really think for a moment, I think most people would agree that there's more of God we don't know than the things we do know about Him. But we still choose to live inside of that box, right? So now fast forward some years. I'm married now. I have a small family.
Which is a wild story, but maybe for another time.
Which one?
How you met your wife.
Oh, yeah.
Courted her.
Yeah, that's a very different story. Yeah. I don't think we have time for that.
No, it's wild, but it's really...
It is.
It explains a lot of who you are and how you go at things.
You're keeping everybody hanging now. So fast forward, I'm in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I'm living overseas somewhere, either in South Africa or America, I don't remember, but I'm visiting home. And I grew up in this little town. It was called Sprangkapelle. Those that are, I know you have a lot of viewers, listeners from the Netherlands. It's in the south of the country. It's like 7,000 people live there. It's a small town. Everybody knows each other. It was funny. Side story, rabbit trail, sorry. I visited that town, like after not being there for decades.
Right.
I have a station wagon rented, and I'm driving. I'm showing my kids where I grew up,
right.
My wife,
right.
And I'm driving into town around the church I used to go to, and on the corner of the street, Church Street, there's a guy, and I know this guy because I knew him when I was a kid,
right.
And he's still standing on the same place he stood when I was last there. And I'm driving up and I open my window. And my kid's like, what's going on? And I'm like, hey, Hank. And he's like, hey, Van Tilborgh. How's it going? It's going well. Good, man. Closed the window, drove off. And kids were like, what the heck just happened, But anyways, one of these towns that don't change, right? So I'm visiting this town. I'm visiting my uncle in particular. My uncle used to be, he's passed now, but he used to be the organ player at that church.
Right.
Well, just looking at that building gives me PTSD, religious PTSD.
Right.
I don't want to go back there, and I can tell you stories about why. But it goes beyond the scope of this, and I probably need to see a therapist for that and not talk to you about it. But he's the organ player of that church. So the rest of my family, they're American. They love the European architecture, especially the big cathedrals.
Right.
This was one of these buildings, big organ, massive.
Right.
So they find out Uncle Reen is his name. He's the organ player of that church. So we want to see Uncle play the organ. Right. And it's a Sunday night. It's Christmas time. It's cold and rainy and dark. And I don't want to go to that church.
Right.
But everybody else wants to. So they convinced my uncle to go.
Right.
And I remember reluctantly following the rest. And we're walking this, every street has the name of famous Dutch painters. So I go down the Mesdak Van Gogh Street, the Mesdek Street, and every street I'm getting closer to that dreadful building, right?
Right.
And going under Rembrandt Street,
Yeah.
end up at Church Street,
Yeah.
and there it is, and he has the key because he's the organ player. So we go into the building, turns on a little light, still a little dark, and we go up this winding stair to be on that balcony where that organ is.
Right.
And I'm like, I just gotta get out of here. I've almost had a panic attack. So I wander off to the side. My uncle sits down, and he hits that first note. And the Spirit of God falls on me. I kid you not.
Right.
And I'm like, what in the world are you doing here? So I'm sharing that story because the tension between those two experiences.
Right.
Experience one, I realized God is way, 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 way bigger than our religious paradigms.
Yeah.
And the religion that we create.
Yeah. Come on, bro.
At the same time, God is big enough to come down to our level.
Yeah. Meet us.
And meet us where we're at.
Yeah.
And still, I think it's Shane, what's his name? Shane
Claiborne?
No, Shane, Australian. He was just on a podcast.
Oh, he'll come
May come back. Shane.
I don't have a Shane from
That
Australia.
is a Shane.
Dub?
No, man. Anyways, doesn't matter. Come
Okay.
back to me.
I'll come back.
I think he says, God meets the broken story wherever the broken story is. And we come up with all kind of nonsense we project it upon God, and
Right.
God somehow tolerates it. But he met me right there in that place. So God is big enough to come down to my level, to crawl inside of my box, to destroy it from the inside out.
Yeah.
And that tension between those two experiences, like there's more to discover.
Yeah.
At the same time,
Yeah.
I know whatever I'll discover, it's never going to be big enough.
Yeah.
But no worries. God is big enough to come down to my level and meet me in my smallness.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like that tension field is kind of become the driving force of my journey, I would say. And those that know me, the decisions I've made in life and the journey we've walked as a family has been the result of that.
Some of the
field of tension.
The conversation that we've had over the last 24 hours has been, you're describing finding God in places you didn't.
Yeah, 100%.
Like the nature of the journey we're on, and you've said it, I also, especially as a younger man, was quite opinionated.
Shane Willard.
I haven't had him on, but
oh, you didn't have him.
But we've talked about having him on. You were going to help me make that connection.
Okay, well.
Yes. I'm like, I don't know a Shane.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. All right, you guys heard it here. He's going to help me get Shane.
He's brilliant. I love him.
That'd be great. He's on the list.
Yeah. You should have him.
Let's do that. Yeah. You've brought a few guests in, to be honest. I've got.
I hope they were any good.
Well, amazing. Steve was one of them.
True. Yeah.
But the conversations we've had, what I was saying is, you probably like me had some pretty staunch opinions.
Very.
And as he's met us in our boxes and blown them up with his goodness, we've had many a conversation in the last 24 hours of all the places we found God that we were surprised to find him. Right?
Yeah.
To the point now where, and this is what we're celebrating, because this man here is got an incredible grace, gifting, and you've stewarded with intentionality that grace on your life to be able to be in any space, to be able to put a structure around how to give voice to someone who has got a mandate or a call or a message, and to expand that message. Mm-hmm. But you're able to go into any space.
Well, it's like a learning curve, right? Because we're all, most of us anyway, have been raised in this environment where this is right, this is wrong.
Right.
This is the wrong tree to eat from anyways.
Right.
Good and evil, this dualistic mindset. But if you'll pay attention, you'll find God literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't
right.
it? Yeah. I remember, reminds me of a story. We're having a garage sale. in my parents-in-law's house, and I'm helping out and selling all this stuff. And this Iranian couple, elderly couple, stops by, and they buy as much as, I mean, they like sell us out.
Right.
All the furniture because they just immigrated to the States.
So they were looking.
Well, this was in a season of my life where, you know, the Muslims are the enemy, right? Like, so
Right.
these people just shopping around in our garage,
So your
like,
job
makes you
was
pray in tongues under your breath, you know.
Were you trying to get them saved or just survive?
Well, you know, it's like, I don't want to be under that demonic influence, right?
Right.
That mindset.
Right,
I mean,
I know what
I
you're
don't know
saying.
about you, but that's how I was raised in that environment. Like,
Right.
that's the big dragon we got to conquer. And, but they were nice.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't know any better.
Right.
That's how I was looking at it.
Sure.
And so, but they didn't have a vehicle. So they had all these big pieces of furniture and they didn't know how to get it to their house. So me and my father-in-law were like, don't worry, we'll drop it off
Right.
at the end of the day when we're all wrapped up and we'll bring this stuff to your house. So we load up a whole van's worth of stuff.
Yeah.
We bring it to this house. They give us the address. We show up. And the little things they had in their house was clearly indicating these people are Muslims and they're really invested in their faith, and there's things on the wall. And I'm like, oh man, I'm in the enemy's camp right now.
Right. I remember thinking,
How do we
Yeah.
steal back what they or get back what they stole
Right,
from us?
right.
We had songs about that.
Right.
To the enemy's camp. Sure, you've sang it.
Mighty warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't unload this stuff fast enough and get the hell out of there. So at the end, this lady comes to me, elderly lady, and she grabs my arm and she looks at me. And she says, I pray. She said, I pray that Allah will bless you. And again, these are the two experiences I've had that were very similar.
Right.
The Spirit of God, my body was like, because this wasn't at a time, and I don't know I came up in the charismatic movement,
Right.
and there was a time when I was baptized in the Spirit and I spoke in tongues, and there was really a difference between the old Dutch Reformed Martijn and what happened after what we call the baptism of the Holy Spirit. And
Right.
to some extent, I don't understand the full theology of all that, but there were times that I could just physically feel the Holy Spirit. And it was almost like I could go to that place
Right.
in worship settings,
Right.
and I could still do that.
Yes.
And it was one of these moments where this lady said, I pray that Allah would bless you. That I had one of those experiences.
And you can't deny it.
I could deny it.
Yeah.
And I was scared and confused. And I said, Lord, what is this? And so it really took me on a journey to really make some theological sense out of.
My guess is he didn't answer right there.
Not right there.
Right.
No, it took a while.
Yeah, that was the tension of now I have to live with a God who's better
Than I thought he was.
was.
Yeah.
In ways I can't deny.
And I knew
Yeah.
I had to change my theology.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get there.
I love the
So my conclusion was, and I'm sure you and others listening to this, people know things, but they name things wrong
right.
or different,
Right.
or maybe not wrong is even the wrong word.
They don't have the language yet.
They don't have the language.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that. Yeah.
It changes so I was on a trip with my brother. We were filming a documentary in Haiti around Restavix, which is child brides.
Mm-hmm.
And we were meeting with a Catholic priest. So first of all, he's Catholic.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But he's more like Jesus than anybody I'd met.
Really? Was he really?
I'm telling you. But there's my brother, the first time he called him, he was actually negotiating a hostage situation. He answered the phone because he thought it was for the warlord, and he was negotiating. He answered the phone, and my brother's like, "This is Joel, and we're coming down to connect with you." And he said, "Oh," and he had a real thick Boston accent. He's from Boston. He's been down there 30 years. My father, Rick Frechette, look him up. He's wild. But he's like, "Oh, Joel, can I call you back? I'm in the middle of a hostage negotiation, and I'm nursing someone's been shot. And my brother's like, why did you pick up? But we walked with him in places where he was Jesus in real life. I mean, I can tell stories about my time with him. But the point is I too had these moments where I was like, oh my gosh, this is a man walking in the revelation of what it means to be a lover of people.
Yeah.
And I remember I was walking behind two nuns, and we were going into a small little abbey for an afternoon quiet time of prayer. I don't even know, because I don't know a lot about Catholicism, but it was part of the day.
Yeah.
And we're walking in, and Mary's there, and they genuflect, the two. And then my brother's in front of me, and so he kneels. We don't even know how to do, but he does. And so that I don't even know if I'm doing it right. I look back, and Father Rick is smiling. We sit in that room.
Which is a clue you did it wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did it wrong, but he got a kick out of it. And we sat in that room, and we were just to be quiet for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was and again, we're having our charismatic conversation here, the experience with the manifest presence of the goodness of God. It was so thick in that room. I was in tears, and I was just in awe. Yeah. And by then, I was comfortable with the idea that God loved Catholics too.
Just as much as it's hard to believe, but
right?
It's true, right?
Right, and they aren't the enemy. And I was raised, don't go anywhere near them.
No, it was the Antichrist. The Pope was the Antichrist.
So I was.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah. But by then, those experiences mark you. Yeah. Because the nature of the love of God is just showing up in a way that I would have maybe thought would only happen in this context
100%.
or in this context. And it does take you, it opens your heart up in ways that...
It's crazy. Yeah. Like I have had the craziest experiences in environments with people that I knew for sure, and probably I was right. Yeah. Their theology was screwed up. Yeah. But that presence was still there. Yeah. And it's like... Seems like God doesn't care as much as we do.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, because, and I'll tell this story, but then I want to go into what we've been talking about all day, because we're rethinking, what does it mean to be the church? What does it mean?
It's a big conversation.
Yeah, it has been. We had some of it with Steve, and there were other folks there. And but I was on staff at a church years ago, and I've told this story a few times, so I'll just quickly, just the jumping off point. I was in a service where the message coming from the front was separation. In fact, it was titled "Now Get." The pastor had a whip in his hand, and he was using it as an illustration to move large animals, as though this is Jesus and we're the large animal. And I'm not kidding. And "Now Get" was actually in response to the message I'd preached the week before, where I'd ended with this phrase: everyone in this room is a spiritual giant. And he ended his message with, there are no spiritual giants in this room. So there's a lot going on. So I'm on the back.
It must feel good.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Listening to that.
But one of the pastors came out and said, "Do you know that he's..." I'm like, "Yeah, I get it, buddy." I picked up on what's going on.
I have ears to hear.
Yeah. And it's 3 services. And so it's the end of the last service. I'm in the back. It holds about 800 people, so it's dark. And I leave. I'm like, "God, what am I doing here?" Yeah. And I leave because I know that I have to get my heart set. I go into the back room. It takes all of a minute. I pray, "Father, show me who you are. Show me how you see me." I get an immense sense of his presence and his affection. I walk back in with grace to navigate the rest of this. And the leader is now closing. He's also the worship leader, so he's moving into worship. And I look over, and there's a guy having you can't, we're in a Methodist church, but you can't deny this is a charismatic guy. Like I saw light, his tears, he's just and there would have been a time where I would have been like, "Why are you
faking it?"
Well, it wasn't even that he wasn't faking it.
No, I know he wasn't.
Yeah, so
maybe you thought.
Well, I would have more. It was like, "Why, God, would you show up right now?"
Okay.
And endorse that message.
Yeah.
Like there would have been, I would have wrestled.
Confusing.
Because I'm like, why would you endorse that message? But instead, 2 things happened. I went, okay, clearly you're here, so I can be here. I'd ask the question. Yeah. But the second thing, and it set me up for ministry, but I wouldn't have been able to articulate it then, I can now, was that I am, first of all, he'll always move on hunger. Second, that guy probably wouldn't have shown up at any other church. And this message, he'll meet us where we are and speak in the language of our understanding. And third, he's more convinced that an encounter with his love is bigger than the bad message that it came through.
Yeah.
Meaning he's in the long game. And my job is not to actually, I'm here to correct theology, but more than that, I'm here to be a walking revelation of his kindness, of his love, of his affection. And that's the relational dynamic of how he walks with us. Yeah. Once you get that settled, then you can step back and go, okay, it's important that we get good theology. This was messed up theology, but more important is I'm not here to defend. I'm here 100% to reveal.
Yeah, if God can crawl in my little box that I created for myself, I can at least return the favor and do the same thing for the people around me.
Right.
And come down to their level. Yeah, that sounds so bad. It's not what I mean.
But step
into their reality.
Yeah.
To reach them where they're at.
Right.
And I think that's the nature of Christ.
Yeah.
Like he did it with me. We should do the same with everybody.
But I hear you. So the conversation then we were having today was around what do you tear down and what don't you tear down? And it got quite animated.
Yeah.
And some folks were like, burn it all.
Yeah.
And your response was, you may be surprised to know that I'm friends with this person and I'm friends with this person. And walking at the pace of the moment they're in, I see that on you, the grace to be able to, because you're in spaces that would probably cause some folks' skin to crawl.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's no longer
you need to know what to say when to who.
Yeah.
And it takes wisdom and quite honestly the leading of the Holy Spirit. We were just talking about it right before we hit record. I wrote this little article and it's called See Something, Say Nothing.
Right.
It's a lot harder to see something and say something. Now, I'm not talking about, walking in an
see something and say something?
No, it's easier to see something and say something.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not talking about you walk in an airport and you notice something that's not kosher and there might be some trafficking going on.
Right.
You call the cops.
Right.
Right. I'm talking about on a spiritual level as you engage with people wherever they are in life. You will see something. Yeah. But it doesn't mean you need to say something.
Come on.
There have to be 3 questions that need to be answered first before you say something. First of all, first question, does it need to be said?
Right.
Just because I see it, does it need to be said?
Right.
Then the second question is...
And maybe some of that is, I need to say it.
But that's us.
Right. It doesn't need to be said.
Us. That's why I'm saying it's easier to say, oh, I see something, I better say it. Because that needs to be corrected.
Right.
If everybody did that to us, it's like you don't have a life, right?
Right. Yeah.
People saying stuff to you all day long. You won't going to survive that. So see something, say nothing should be an option in our mind as we have discernment. So does it need to be said?
Hold on one second. Especially if you're on social media.
Especially, yeah. Well, I mean, that may be a loophole. Maybe social media, then you're off the hook. No, that's a good one. Does it need to be said?
Right.
And if the answer is yes, does it need to be said right now?
Right.
Maybe you got to sleep on it.
Right.
Because how you say it might have an impact.
Right.
So does it need to be said now? But maybe the answer is yes.
Right.
But then the third question is, do I need to be the one to say it?
Right.
And unless you answer those 3 questions first, affirmative, only then you say.
Right.
And we often just become emotional and we feel like we have to be right, and correct the situation, burn it down.
But what you're describing is a relational approach. That's what we were talking
100%.
about. That what it is, what church looks like, or what it means to be the church in one another's life, is beyond the Sunday morning expression. That some of that's being remade, and some of what you're talking about to me is you're taking a relational approach. You're basically
100%. You gotta discern where people are at in life and meet them right there.
Right.
And saying something is oftentimes more damaging than not saying something. Jesus, I discovered lately, because I'm in all kinds of circles.
Right.
Political right wing,
Yes.
political left wing,
Yes.
cultural. I'm in the Hispanic church. I'm in the old school black civil rights rooted black church.
Yeah.
I'm in all these pockets.
Yeah.
And if I just project my opinion on all these pockets, I'll go nowhere.
Right.
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 So even Jesus, because I'm studying the Gospels, I'm like, wow. Even Jesus had different layers of communication.
Yeah.
And one of those layers was all the things he did not say.
Right.
Well, what would Jesus say? Well, sometimes Jesus would not say anything.
Right.
Because there's this one verse that says, there are so many more things that I could say.
Yeah. If everything.
But I'm not saying.
Right.
Because if I do say it,
Sure.
you can get revelation for yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
And sometimes we create a vacuum by not saying what we're seeing, so that there can be spiritual conviction.
Yeah.
That I have nothing to do with that.
Right.
And what's better?
Right.
For me to tell you something, and there's all kind of tricks in communication to make people believe what you say, even though they know better.
Right.
People don't believe what they know; they believe what they've been told.
Right.
But if you have a revelation,
yeah,
the story, I think it's Genesis 26. Here's Abraham. He has this spiritual encounter one day when he looks at the stars. We all know the story. And God gives him the promise, you'll be father of many nations, the star in the hand, that whole deal. And I imagine he goes home, have family dinner or breakfast in the morning with his family.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I had the spiritual, or guys, it was just his wife at that point. Or his wife's, maybe. At that point.
So it was guys. Carry on.
What?
So it was guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. But the revelation and spiritual encounter that he had was transferred by an oral version. It wasn't this. It was information, not revelation. So by the time Isaac was born, he grew up in an environment where his dad told, that one day when you were not born yet, you weren't conceived yet, God told me this. And all that was information in Abraham's or in Isaac's ears.
Right.
But it hadn't sunk down to a revelation level.
Right.
So when Abraham passed away, and the next thing that happens is famine in the land, what happens? Isaac is like, well, I don't care what that promise is, but I'm the heck out of here. Goes to Egypt.
Right.
And then en route to Egypt, God speaks to him. And when you read the biblical account of Genesis, it's pretty much verbatim the same thing that he had heard his whole life.
Right.
Only now it wasn't information from his dad. It was a revelation from God.
Right.
And creating that vacuum in the environments that we are in, sometimes it's not about what you say, it's about what you don't say.
That's so good, man.
Yeah.
It's I think it's C.S. Lewis. Well, that vacuum also creates space for you to live in the question, which is a good thing, because sometimes, and this is C.S. Lewis, it says sometimes when you actually don't hear from God, it's not that he's absent or silent, it's that you're asking how many reds are in a mile. Yeah. You're asking.
There's this irrelevance.
You're not actually asking a question yet that he can even answer, but it's okay. He's going to navigate the journey with you until you've developed a question that he can go, that's the question. Yeah. That's the right question. I can speak to that. Yeah. That's the awakening, and we're back to the goodness of God, because those are the things that took place when that Muslim lady prayed for you. Yeah. It introduced a question that you didn't even have language for. Yeah. But you couldn't deny. Yeah. And it was built on a goodness that you couldn't deny. Yeah. So now you've got a burr in your saddle. Yeah. And what I love about you, and I love about, everyone who's honestly on a journey of and there's some,
and that includes everybody.
It does include everyone, but a brave journey to go. I can't stay here.
Yeah.
I'm willing to live in the question.
So when you walk in a room, I walk in a room, you walk in a room, we there's one out of 3 communication styles that we need to deploy in that situation. So there's Jesus, and he speaks in metaphors, he speaks in parables, he speaks in stories, ambiguous at best, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know about you, but half that stuff's still confusing to me.
Right.
So the kingdom of God is like, and he comes up with a story, and like, oh, what does this mean? I don't know. And there's a place for it because it provokes critical thinking.
Yeah.
It provokes for people to go deeper and start thinking about possibilities they didn't consider before.
Right.
And then those who have an ear to hear, they hear something, right?
Yeah.
So when I enter a room, sometimes it's like, you know what? I need to just tell a little story. Like this story about the Muslim couple from Iran and all that. Like, I don't have to draw conclusions.
Right.
I'll just tell the story and then let people wrestle with that.
Right.
But then he had a different level of communication with those that he was discipling. But also when a question came his way, like Nicodemus in the night, I got a question. I mean, you must come from God because, you carry authority that, other guys don't. And basically, you're saying, give me what you got. And how do I get it?
Yeah.
And so sometimes to some, he would unpack things when there was that curiosity and that questioning. And they could handle the detail of that truth. And then sometimes there was what he didn't say.
Right.
Because there's power in silence.
Right.
And
even then, he answered the question with metaphors that Nicodemus was not able to get his head around. Yeah. Sorry.
He said, "Pray after me, Nicodemus." No. That whole story for me is about. I wrote an article about it. I called it "To See or Not to See." We make that verse. You got to be born again.
Right.
That is like the number one verse that we've been given as a weapon of war during evangelism training.
Right.
Study evangelism, the concept of evangelism in Scripture. It's really not what we made it, but that's a big conversation. But basically, what he's telling Nicodemus, because he is a educated religious leader that's been indoctrinated by a system, and we talked about systems a lot today.
Yeah.
But a system that is designed to counterproduce anti-kingdom of God results.
Right.
And what Jesus is saying, well, if you want what I got, you got to reset.
Right.
You got to start over.
Right.
You got to be born again.
Yeah.
You need to look at this thing through a whole new set of eyes.
Right.
You know that little drawing when you look at it one way, it's this old witch. You know that little picture?
Yeah.
And then you look away and say, no. There's a young woman.
Right. Yeah.
And then you look, and like, oh, I see it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That's what Jesus said.
Yeah.
You got to be born again. You got to look with new eyes because unless
you can't see it,
you're born again, you can't see the kingdom of God. It's about seeing.
Come on, man.
And but we take this as the main Christian message. Are you born again believer? What does that even mean? I don't know.
Right.
And it's like it's annoying, to be honest with you.
Right.
It's not about that. Nicodemus is there in the middle of the night when everybody's sleeping, probably including Jesus.
Right. Right.
He doesn't want to be seen because that'd be controversial.
Right.
But go speak to the heretic.
Right.
To knock on the door, to wake everybody up because he has a question. That's the context. He's not on some soapbox preaching, you gotta be born again.
Right.
Like we do.
Yeah.
So to see
good,
or not to see, that's the question.
That's so good.
Yeah.
It's the you're on the wrong road. The rich young ruler is very similar.
Yeah.
Shows up and he's like, Jesus, what must I do to have eternal life?
And guess what? Sorry to interrupt. Hold that thought. He didn't say to the rich young ruler, you got to be born again.
Right. Right.
Why did he not say that?
Right.
Because he met him in his journey.
That's it.
And he didn't have that same religious baggage Nicodemus had.
Right.
Who was part of a system that religious, that he needed to rethink all the lies he believed about God.
Well, and also he speaks, well, I'll say a yes, and he speaks to us in the language of our understanding.
Yeah.
And so he's meeting Nicodemus where he's at, but it's the same message. What I love about the rich young ruler is he says, well, what must I do to have eternal life? Which is a great question.
Yeah.
And I think it was a sincere, authentic question as well. Also, he wanted what Jesus had, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Recognizes it. And so Jesus, I love that Jesus engages with him and says, it's a great question.
Yeah.
You want eternal life. Are you doing all of the stuff?
Yeah.
Like, are you doing this? Like he gives him the commandments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing these? Meeting him where he's at, speaking to him in the language of his understanding, which to me is going back to that guy, seeing him worshiping and having an encounter with the love of God. I'm like, God's meeting him where he's at right now. It really reset my lens on what I am called to do. I am meant to meet you where you're at and trust that one encounter with his kindness is going to transform who you are. And so Jesus is like, he's like, are you doing the stuff? And the guy, of course, says, I'm doing all of it.
Yeah.
And then he says this, what am I still lacking? Which is my favorite phrase because it's like an aha moment. It's like, I've done everything and the ultimate conclusion is lack.
Yeah.
To which Jesus is like, right, you're on the wrong road. You got the wrong eyes.
Yes.
You actually have to shift paradigms.
Yeah.
You can't get there from here. And he gives him instructions to go sell everything he has, give it to the poor and come follow me, which the guy at the moment can't do. But I think, and we've had a lot of conversations about that over the years. Some have said he's Paul. So I'm convinced Jesus gave him what he needed to navigate.
Yeah.
Sowed into him the seed he needed to be able to navigate. But it's that thing right there, to honor the moment they're in, to honor the journey, to honor where they're at, but also to introduce them to another road, if you will. Yeah. Right. It's that phrase. You can't get there from here.
I don't know. I'm a foreigner. I don't know what is that phrase.
That phrase, when I'd be driving down the road back before you had GPS, and you'd stop to ask someone how to get to the place you're stuck. You don't know how to get there. And you'd say, there'd always be an old timer. You'd say, how do I get there? And they'd be, oh, son, you can't get there from here. Yeah. And I'd always hate it because I'm like, pretty sure I can. Yeah. Like I'm here and I got to get there. But it really is, you can't experience what we're talking about through a trying harder, through an earning. You have to re-see. Yeah. That's the stuff, man.
And we never arrive, right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Yeah. There's always something new to discover that I can't see from where I'm at.
Right. Hey guys, I hope the podcast is blessing. Family Stories are a nonprofit. Started 10 years ago. The goal was to make media content catalytic for an encounter with the love of God, and I think we're doing it. Had no idea what that would all entail, and in the last year has been blown away by what's happened around this podcast. Rethinking God with Tacos. The community that's gathered, the relationships and friendships that have been made, the conversations that have been had, the impact has been actually quite profound in our lives. And I'm daily hearing from folks who have been encouraged because of the conversations being had. Catalytic for an encounter with the love of God. Listen, we're listener supported. And as this thing has grown, it's taken a little bit more of my time I love to give. And we've also had folks come along to help, and I'm so grateful for that. But it all works because you guys partnering with us and giving. And so I'm grateful for those who have partnered in that way, incredibly grateful. And in inviting you who are watching this now, if you've been impacted, if this has blessed you, and you'd like to see it continue to improve and expand, I'd invite you to give. You can go to afamilystory.org, afamilystory.org. We're a nonprofit, and so you can give there. You can also sign up for our mailing list, keep up with us, all things tacos, all things A Family Story, conferences, new books, Zoom calls, all of the amazing ways by which we're connecting the Facebook community. So thankful for you guys. Familystory.org. Sign up for our mailing list. Partner with us by giving, and we'll continue to have those conversations that are hopefully like the one you're listening to now, catalytic for an encounter with our Father's affection. All right, guys, back to the podcast. Love you. See you soon.
It's like there was a time in history when building God a physical house. I mean, think about it in 2025. We're going to build God a physical house. And we're going to get a golden chest.
Right.
And we're going to stick him in there.
Right.
And then we're going to show up and worship him. And then some select ones of us, the best of the best, will sometimes enter that Holy of Holies. It's ridiculous. But apparently there was a time where God met us in that.
Right. Right.
You know, and when Solomon dedicated
he gave us
temple,
the design. He said, build it like this.
Yeah. You know, if you're going to build it, then build it like this.
Right.
And then when it was dedicated, it was glorious, right?
Right.
But that doesn't mean they had arrived. It
Right.
was another stepping stone or a link in a chain of events.
So let's
that moves all of creation further and deeper into the restoration of all things, right? And that's, you know, a powerful principle.
It's a beautiful thing, and I love how you interpreted it. Let's do this, because we were talking about this on the drive here. As we're rethinking, and this whole conversation has really been, and sometimes I love these conversations where I get to hear some of the journey, and we've had enough conversations that I've heard other parts of your story, but those shifting moments where the goodness of God is almost offensive, but it shifts everything, and you have to wrestle with it and come to the conclusion that he's better than you thought.
Yeah.
And we're in the conversation now, because you build structures.
Yeah.
You work with people. Folks might wonder what you do.
Yeah.
Because you haven't really said it directly, but you come along very well-known people within the church, leaders.
Yep.
Lesser known folks than people like myself.
Well, I think you're pretty well known.
You come along and you look at what we're carrying, and you could speak to it more clearly, but and you're a structure guy, a systems guy that knows how to amplify a voice, or to amplify a message, or to help create space for people to connect.
Yeah.
Which is what you're doing with us, helping us to steward and build space for connection. But you're an out of the box guy.
And at the same time in my own box, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Sometimes we unbox ourselves to crawl into a slightly bigger box.
Right.
And
Speak to that.
But it's like, you know, there's these animals that peel their skins, I guess snakes. I don't want to compare myself to a snake. They grow into a bigger animal by shedding their baggage of the past to become bigger. I think it's like that on an individual level, but definitely on a dare I use the word cosmic level, where all of humanity and all of creation goes through that restorational process. I always say what got us to where we are can get us to where we're going. And we need to understand that we're part of this. Well, let's put it this way. There's a few things that God cannot do. One of them is take his word back.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Another one is not lie or change.
Right.
Right? 3 examples quickly from scripture. But his word does not return void.
Right.
And he declares the end from the beginning.
Right.
So when he declares the end, that word, once released, can't go back.
Right.
It must find a pathway somewhere to manifest itself. Right?
Right.
So when Luke in the book of Acts talks about the restoration of all things and talks about Jesus being retained in heaven until all things are restored, that restorational process talks about, that's where we're moving towards. That's what God declared. And because he declared it, it can't go back.
Right.
And even as a generation, if we do not pick up on that word and sync ourselves up with where we are at in that process,
Right.
it just continues to push the next generation forward. Right?
Right.
And we find ourselves in this place where this invisible word pushes all of creation, all of humanity forward. And we can't stay where we are, even though where we are might be good.
Yeah.
Because what's good today can be bad tomorrow. Egypt, a place of blessing to escape famine, became a place of bondage, limitation, slavery.
Right.
When you stay too long in that God-given season.
Right.
And there's plenty of examples in Scripture like that.
Yeah.
So we're part of that invisible word that was spoken at the beginning that must manifest. Right? And we find ourselves. So for us to ask the question, who are we in history?
Right. Right.
David had these guys called the sons of Issachar who knew the times and seasons to know what Israel ought to do.
Yeah.
Which I think is a prophetic picture for what we need. We need to discern, like, we're in 2025. What are we ought to do in our generation that's different and moves all things forward within that forward momentum of that word declared at the beginning?
Right.
That pushes us to universal restoration.
Yeah.
So when it comes to church and structure, because I
Right.
think that's what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
There's this obscure verse in the book of Judges. We know all the judges. Give me your top 3 judges.
Okay.
What comes to it?
Samuel.
No. Samuel was a prophet. The judges.
Okay.
Do I need to teach you the
You're
Bible?
gonna have to.
Samson, Gideon,
Right.
Deborah, all these guys. Yeah. I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
You're good.
So
Time to read the Old Testament again.
yeah, man.
I'm with you. The prophets and the judges.
I know you're looking through everything through a Christological lens, but you got to know the Old Testament too, buddy. So there's all these famous judges we preach about, right?
Uh-huh.
But then there's this one guy, and his name is Shamgar.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Shamgar?
That's not coming to mind.
No, exactly.
No.
Because it's just one line.
Okay.
And he comes up in the ranks as a judge, and then it says that Shamgar became a judge, and he killed 600 Philistines with an ox goad.
Okay.
Now, what is an ox goad, you would ask? And I asked myself the same thing, so I Googled it. It's a stick to herd cattle, kind of like that belt
pastor,
you were talking about.
Yeah, the pastor with his whip.
So he had this herding tool,
Yeah.
and he killed 600 Philistines.
Okay.
We don't believe in murder anymore. I get that. But it's a picture of like victory, right? The enemy got defeated. Here's this guy, came out of nowhere. He killed 600 Philistines. Yeah, the enemy's defeated. And then he delivered Israel.
Right.
That's the second part of that sentence.
Right.
So when we zoom in on that story and forget everything else,
Right.
the Gideons and the Samsons and the, all the big guys,
Yeah.
let's forget about all them.
Yeah.
You zoom in on that story, you think that Shamgar is a big deal, right?
Right. Sure. Yeah.
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 But now you zoom out, and most people don't even know there was a judge named Shamgar.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And that's often what I think happens in church. We zoom into our little bubble subculture thing, and within that little bubble, there are some things that are happening that are positive,
Right.
and we think we have arrived.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
We think like, oh man, we're really a big fish in a small pond.
Right.
And everybody starts modeling after that success story. but it's not where we're going. It doesn't even start to scratch the surface
Right.
of where we're going.
Plus, it's a one-size-fit-all approach.
That too.
Yeah.
But then this happens. Then you go to the next chapter, and it says this: in the days of Shamgar.
Okay.
So it refers back to this guy.
Right. So he's been referenced twice.
So he's referenced twice.
Okay.
But it doesn't. Yeah. Well, I guess it tells the other part of the story. But this little story, zoom in. He's the biggest deal around.
Sure.
We all should be like Shamgar.
Sure. Right. We all got to go get our
Let's
cow
model our ministries. Let's get a goat.
Goat whip.
Ox
Right.
goat.
Ox goat.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I learned something new too.
Yeah.
So, and we're all like, man, this is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Ox goat, that's the new model.
Yeah,
that's the new system.
Put it on our wall like the Braveheart swords.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like suddenly there's conferences about how to
Right.
adopt this new ministry
come out.
method. Books come out.
10 steps with the ox goat.
Yeah, there's an author signing by Shamgar himself. So, but then the next verse of the next chapter is like, in the days of Shamgar,
Yeah.
the highways were deserted. That sounds not positive.
Right. Yeah.
People traveled on the byways,
Okay.
and village life ceased to exist. Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
And then it says, until I, Deborah, arose as a mother of Israel.
Okay.
And she apparently restored village life, which is community, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's village life.
Yeah.
So the highways was the infrastructure that apparently used to be populated and bustling, full of energy, and people were traveling back and forth on that channel.
Right.
But in the days of Shamgar, actually, they were deserted.
Right.
So what used to work was no longer working under his
That's
rule.
good, bro. Yeah.
And then the second thing is people travel on the byways. Like, hello, there's a highway here.
Right.
Why? So it speaks about dysfunction.
Right. Yeah.
But I want to say most importantly, village life ceased to exist.
Right. Yeah.
So while we look at this success story, there's three things happening. And village life is an interesting one because at the end of the day, it's all about a community. It's about being a holy nation, a royal priesthood. It's like how we are all connected to each other,
Good,
and
bro.
not just Christians.
Yeah.
All of us,
Yeah.
all of humanity
Yeah.
in some ways. So it used to be in the 50s when you talk about village life, it was physically the people you lived with in this geographical location, right?
Right.
I knew the guy across the street.
Yeah.
I knew the guy on the left, knew the guy on the right.
Right.
I knew the baker down the road.
Right.
I knew everybody.
They were
That's
people.
why when I drove back in my old town 20
Right.
years later,
Right.
same guy was there.
Right.
Rolled out the window, how's it going? Yeah, going well. All right, I went by. See you another 20. Like that was village life from the olden days.
Right.
Then 80s, 90s. Suddenly village life shifted to a place where I build a community with the people I do life with, my colleagues.
Yeah.
People I work with, the people I play tennis with,
Right.
the people that I go to school with. So it wasn't necessarily localized the same way, but it was attached to certain activities more than geography. Right? But nowadays, like my 19-year-old, whenever we take a trip anywhere and he joins us, it's happened more often than not where he's like, we're in some random city somewhere in either in Canada or in the States somewhere, like we've never been there, but somehow we're there for vacation or meeting or whatever, and he's with us and he's like, what we doing next few hours? I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna meet my friend. Like, your friend? How do you have a friend in Vancouver?
Right.
Because there's this digital space
Right. Yeah.
where maybe on the surface we think, oh, our kids are locked up in our bedroom and they're
Right.
like staring at a screen all day and they have no social life. I'm promising you,
Right.
these kids have sometimes better friendships than we've ever had.
Right.
Because there's this community that's now digital of people that they physically never met. We've known each other a long time, but only met twice in person.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a success story. We get blinded by the success. and we model after that success, and in the meantime, everything else goes to crap.
Right. Right. Well,
That's the Shamgar story.
right, because things progress.
Yeah.
Because we grow as a community, like what you said.
I call it an attention shift, where the infrastructure that exists, that used to be the distribution model, speaking in business terms,
right.
of our ministry gifts.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the best way I can word it.
Right.
That distribution model has now shifted to something completely different, because that word that moves everything forward has shifted everything, and we're still looking and becoming Shamgar.
Right. Right.
And we missed the boat on all the important things.
Right.
So yeah, I'm big on systems, and I realize we need systems.
But you're big on systems.
But I think the system is to support the movement, to support the community.
Yeah. Come on.
And it's not the other way around.
Right.
So there was a time early on in my journey where I focused on, I would say, first of all, God would do a new thing, and I would go around preaching about the new thing, and I would still operate in the old thing, but I'd talk about the new thing.
Right.
And
Right.
in hindsight, I realized there's a discrepancy between prophetic revelation about where we're going and the manifestation of that.
Yeah.
And you can see and taste and sometimes touch the future.
Right.
But it doesn't mean we're there yet. So
Right.
we talk about it,
Right.
but we're not actually manifesting
Right.
all that.
Right.
So we talk a lot of talk, but we don't get there. I don't know how I got to that.
No.
What were we talking about?
Well, it's the systems and and stewarding community in the moment we're in now is
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Yeah. So I would talk about the need for a new wineskin.
That's
That's
it.
what we call it, right?
Yeah.
So there's a scripture, you can't pour new wine in old wineskin, because that new wine will crack the old wineskin, everything gets lost and broken.
Right.
And metaphorically, that I think talks a lot about, the systems we built that kind of become the goal in itself. The Shamgar model.
Right.
Becomes the objective, and that model, that system, you pour new wine in it, and it only creates trauma and church hurt, and because the system is designed to output something that the new wine doesn't support.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
I'm following. Yeah.
But then I came into a season where you can have the best new wineskin in the world. People say, what's the new model? What's the new wineskin? I get that question a lot. And we can talk about that more in a minute. But if you have the newest wineskin and still pour old wine,
Right.
not a good thing either.
Right. Right.
Because now you're all hip and relevant, and you're still pouring in this toxic theology
Right.
that, got us screwed up to begin with.
Right.
and now it's like, so there's a new wineskin, and you need to have new wine. So the new wine, you have to get new wineskin, but if there's old wine in there,
Right.
it's also not good.
Right. Yeah.
So I've been thinking about, and I have not worked this out, it's just a little preview that I might write about at some point. But you know how these motivational guys and these business gurus, they have these quadrants.
Yep.
Stephen Covey has like this quadrant between time management. Is it urgent? Is it important? Is it urgent, non-important? Is it non-urgent, non-important? Or is it important and urgent?
Right.
And where do you want to live? And
Right.
It translates into proactive living, where you're not going from crisis to crisis. All that. And there's Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. You've heard of him?
Right.
He has the
Actually,
cash flow quadrant.
Yeah.
And the cash flow quadrant talks about you're either unemployed or you're employed, or you
Right.
can be a business owner and employ people,
Right.
or you can be an investor into businesses that employ people.
Right.
And obviously the investing route is the most passive and potentially the most lucrative if you live in that quadrant. So I started to draft up the wineskin quadrant. and I haven't all worked it out, but that's the first time I publicly talk about this, where there's old wine in old skins.
Right.
Then there's old wine in new skins.
Right.
Then there's new wine in new skins. New wine in old skins and new wine in new skins.
Right.
And as we're zooming into these quadrants, what are the symptoms of the culture and community and the systems we create as part of that?
Right.
And I think we need both. We need to have a rethinking of our theology, but that rethinking of our theology will demand a different system to support the outworking of that theology.
Right.
So I've heard people say, well, the system in itself is not bad, which technically is true. But at the same time, if the system was created to sustain the old wine, then why would we stick with that old system?
Right.
Because it's counterproductive to...
Well, it was built for the old wine.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we got to somehow shift. And again, God meets us where we are in our own broken story. And that's why there was that moment when he said to Solomon, like, let's build this house. I don't think he says that again today.
Right.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm not God. But we're progressing from that. So even though God's hand might be on something at a certain season of our life, doesn't mean it's still there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Imagine this 46 years of blood, sweat, and tears to build that structure.
Right.
And now it's finally done. The money it took.
Yeah.
The labor.
Yeah.
The blood, sweat, tears. People died in the process, never saw the completion, but they poured their life into it. And now it's finally done. God shows up, there's smoke, and there's this whole thing. It's glorious. And that same God that inspired David and Solomon to do this shows up sometime later, incarnated in Jesus Christ, who shows up on the square of that structure.
Right.
And he looks around and he says, guys, I've come to destroy this.
Right.
So apparently it's possible for God to inspire a thing to turn around years later to destroy the very thing so he can rebuild something that's closer to that end goal that word pushes us towards. And if we can understand that, and if we can read scripture through that lens, really, we actually start to understand it. Yeah. Because unless you do, it's a very confusing library of books.
I love this, man. I remember 25 years ago, I was in Joburg, South Africa.
Yeah.
And my brother lived there. He lived there for 10 years. It was probably 5-6 years in that I was visiting him. And we're driving down a road. And I had just got my first cell phone. It was a brick. It was a little, push the buttons. That was it. You could talk on it.
I remember that.
Right?
Had one.
It was not the big one brick, but that little Nokia thing.
Yeah.
And I'm driving with my brother in probably one of the most impoverished areas that I'd seen. And people are living on the street. And I'm seeing phones in their hands that are nicer than anything I've seen in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And they don't have maybe but the shirt and the pair of pants and this phone. Yeah. And I say to my brother, I'm like, I don't, and he said, there's no infrastructure here for, there's not been billions of dollars put into an infrastructure for a wired network. Yeah. And so the technology of new phones, it's cheap to buy a phone here. And the phones you can have here are infinitely better, because you don't have a large industry protecting the billions of dollars that have gone into an infrastructure of putting in wires. Yeah. And what you're describing to me is some of what I feel like we often feel in the resistance of structures that like you said, there's been blood, sweat, and tears poured into these infrastructures, these systems. Yeah. And they were built with something good in mind. But as we grow and as we progress, there's a desire to almost want to protect them. Yeah. So essentially we were limited from getting nice phones because as early as it was available
Uh-huh.
because of the billions of dollars that had been invested by our large telecom communication companies
Yeah.
into a structure, and therefore we were behind.
Yeah.
That's essentially what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're in a season where, and I love the conversation we had, because we're talking about large systems.
Yes.
But I feel like we're in a season where the church is very, very much going to become structured around very unique communities,
100%.
and systems will serve different communities, and so they're all going to look different.
Yeah. The word unique, I like that word. Authentic,
Yeah.
I use sometimes. So there was a season where my go-to verse was Isaiah 43. For behold, I will do a new thing. Right?
You're
And that's a powerful verse.
You're a pioneer, so
so
we're made for the new thing.
Yeah. And there were incredible things that happened around that message.
It's amazing.
Whenever I brought it.
Yeah.
But then it's
true.
It's true.
Yeah.
Then the prerequisite for that new thing to happen is for us to forget the former things of old.
Right.
For behold, I'll do a new thing.
Right.
And that's the Nicodemus story. Like, we got to forget, push the leap, be born again, look with fresh eyes, so you can see the kingdom of God. So I used to think, and I know from conversation that you come from that same culture, predominantly charismatic, Pentecostal, prophetic background, that the fulfillment of that word looked like one day, when we least expect it, God will suddenly, and we all preach the suddenly message, right? The day of Pentecost, suddenly pour out His Spirit on us, and revival will break out, and everybody will come to church. And
everybody will come to church.
Yeah, no, we believe that, right?
Right.
So we would pray for that.
Yeah.
And that's how this new thing would manifest.
Right.
It's very small thinking.
Yeah.
Very superficial thinking.
Yeah.
But then I realized that it's, and by the way, if it happens that way, I'm good with it too.
Right.
I'm just now no longer holding my breath for it.
Right. It doesn't have to look like that.
It doesn't have to look like that.
Yeah.
But I realized one day, it's like, wow, if I truly believe that God created me unique, that there's only one Jason.
Right.
There's only one Martijn. There's only one you.
Right.
If that's really true, if I really believe that,
right,
then the only thing I need to make sure that happens is for me to discover who God says that I am.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Because if, to use Paul Young's terms, the truth of my being and the way of my being are aligned, that means that I'm manifesting something on this earth that only I can manifest because there's only one me.
Yeah, it's good.
So for God to do something new,
all
I need to do is to be in my identity.
Come on, man.
So on that note, Romans 8, we all know that famous chapter that Paul wrote. He said that creation, all of creation, everything that was ever created, groans and cries out for what? The revealing of the sons of God. Yeah. So apparently, creation cries out for something for that cry to be satisfied.
Yeah.
So there's this other verse where Peter sits down with Jesus. And Jesus says, Peter, we got to have a chat, buddy. So, all right, let's have it. And then Jesus says, Peter, tell me, what's the word on the street? What do you mean? Well, who do people say that I am?
Yeah.
Wow. Great question, Jesus. Some say this, that, you're John the Baptist, one of the prophets, and this. The matter of fact is, there's a lot of stories going around about who you are.
Right, yeah.
All right. That's great, Peter. That's great, Peter. Let me ask you another question.
Who do you say?
Who do you say that I am?
Right.
Wow. I think you're the Christ, Son of the living God. And Jesus, man, that's remarkable because I never told you that.
Yeah.
This is supernatural revelation from the Father that told you this.
Yeah. He actually says, I didn't say that to you. You didn't get that from a book, and you didn't get that from a man.
Yes, like we read that story and
Yeah.
we say it.
Yeah.
Because we've heard it, we say it.
It didn't come from a pulpit. It didn't come from a book,
No.
not even the good book.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It came from my father.
But then us church people
Not that you can't, by the way, get it from a book or from a man.
read a story like that. Oh,
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
So it's not about what people say about who Jesus is, it's about what I say. I need to get my personal revelation. And that's all true.
Right.
But we then make it our goal to go find other people once we have that revelation to help them get that same revelation. But the process doesn't stop there.
Right.
There's a third level we fail to talk about. And that third level is happening when there comes a point in your walk with Christ, when Jesus sits you down and says, now that you know what other people say, now that you know who I am,
Yeah, what the Father says.
let me tell you who you are.
Yeah, that's it.
And then Jesus says, you are Peter. And for the first time, he identifies the true identity of who Peter is.
Yeah.
And for the first time, Peter received the revelation of who God says he is.
Yeah.
And I think that's the level where we all have. So if we're going to create systems, let's create systems that support that process
Come on.
so that the truth of our being and the way of our being get aligned, because there comes a moment in our walk with God where we hear him say, this is who you are. I often sometimes I work with the top 1% of church leaders in this country. It's not to brag, but I do. And sometimes if you work with pastors, I call them the jack of all trades when it comes to message, because they blink their eyes, it's Sunday again.
Right.
They have to come up with something new. So they're very broad, very relatively shallow. So what's your name? So when Jesus said, for this reason I was made manifest, he knew how to finish that sentence.
Right.
How would you finish that sentence? And they can't.
Right.
Because they're the jack of all trade of all these things. They have not defined their lane because the system demands them become a jack of all trade.
Right.
So they've never created that alignment of, this is truly who I am.
Yeah.
But when you hear Christ say to you, this is who you are, that's where the Son of God gets revealed in you.
Yes.
And the cry of creation can be satisfied.
Yes. And the rock upon which then...
And that's where the gates of hell cannot prevail.
They can't prevail.
And we think the gates of hell cannot prevail against the revelation of who Jesus is. No. The gates of hell cannot prevail against the revelation of God, who God says we are.
I know. Come on, man.
And that's different. So
Come on, man.
So there's this, if I had a whiteboard, which I don't, there's like this line. Imagine this line.
Yeah.
And then there's two columns. So there's the left side of the column, right side of the column. And I write on the left side column, I write optimization. And left side, and then the right side, I'll write innovation. And then I say, there's this one verse in scripture where Jesus says that those born of man, there's nobody greater than John.
Right, yeah.
You've read that.
Yes.
And then I create I write down, I draw these lines like a ladder that you can climb.
Right.
These horizontal lines. And then I said, this speaks of all people, those born of men, nobody's greater than John. So then I put number one spot, John, on top of that ladder.
Right.
And I say, in our case, we know John is dead, so let's put Joel Osteen or T.D. Jakes or Stephen Furtick.
Right.
You go down the list, right?
Okay. Mark
Patterson. So that Mark. We write these number one spots that we know we will never attain to their level.
Okay.
But they've become the Shamgar model in our generation.
Right.
That makes sense.
I'm following with you.
And it's hierarchical in its structure, and therefore, by definition, breeds competition.
Sure.
Yeah.
100%.
So then we model our ministries and lives after those success stories, knowing that number one spot still is already taken. The gold medal has been won already. all I can do in that, on the left side of that line, in that paradigm mindset, is to put my time, energy, and money into becoming incrementally better and therefore closer to that number one spot.
Right.
Still follow me?
I'm following you.
Yeah. So maybe I can get silver medal or maybe bronze. Probably not, but maybe.
Right.
At least worth the try.
Right.
Okay. I call that world the world where you can become the best mediocre self you can possibly become.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why all church activity looks the same.
Which, by the way, you're not in any way begrudging any of these gentlemen in there.
Of course.
Right.
No, because they got to where they are in their own right, however they got
walk
there.
on their own journey.
But it's, and Shamgar too, he
Yeah.
did what he thought was best, and
Yeah.
he was successful to an extent. But
Yeah.
it's for us to now, instead of coming into our own,
Yeah.
we model ourselves after the success story of our day, which then results into a system and a model and an infrastructure that even across the denominational spectrum, you show up on a Sunday morning and it's just, a message between two hymns and an offering at the end.
Right.
Sometimes an offering at the front, sometimes just the bucket at the exit. But my point is, I refuse to believe that God's not more creative than that.
Come on, man.
Right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't stop there. He says, those born of man, nobody is greater than John. He then gives us an alternative option, a different paradigm. He says, but those of the kingdom, even the smallest is greater than
That's
that.
right. Yeah.
And then I put these vertical lines next to each other. And it talks about the spectrum of possibility. So when scripture talks, I think it's Ephesians, correct me if I'm wrong, about the manifold wisdom of God being displayed to the principality and powers.
Yeah.
In the Dutch language, it's actually translated that the infinitive spectrum of color may be displayed
Right.
to the principality and powers.
Right.
So it speaks about this spectrum, and within this spectrum, all these strains of color that need to be possessed by humanity,
Right.
and collectively produce the light of the world we ought to be. And how many, so somebody once said, if you can't be number one in a category, create a new category, be number one.
Sure.
So if you can't be the best coach in the world,
Right.
maybe you can become because that's John Maxwell already exists.
Right.
That's that number one spot. Can maybe become the best Christian coach or
Right.
the best Christian coach for men under 45 with one leg, right?
That's how you get a bestseller right there.
Yes. So you gotta define your niche, your lane,
Right,
like
right.
who
It's
am
all
I?
measurements. You're playing a measurement game over
Yeah.
and over and over. Yeah.
But that's how something new is being birthed. Where are we in that spectrum, knowing that what I bring to the table has no point of reference anywhere else in anyone
I
else.
got you.
But collectively, I call it I'm going on a real rant here, but the righteous independence, like the word independence, especially circles where we came from,
Right.
and in some ways still are connected to, is like it's frowned upon. Independence, no, loyalty. But the structures and systems we create oftentimes create a culture that demands uniformity.
Right.
So the more you are in with the ministry?
Yeah.
Are you in?
Right.
I'm in.
Right. Yeah.
The more in I am, the more I start to look like everybody else that's in.
Right.
It's uniformity, not diversity,
Right.
like what I just described.
Yeah.
So, but it's that third level revelation where Jesus turns to you and says, let me tell you who you are, buddy.
Yeah.
And you grasping that
Yeah.
turns me into a son of God that reveals Christ in me so creation can stop crying. And that's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
We were talking about, the last thing we'll say about it, earlier today when we had the roundtable conversation. I often, when I meet with pastors, leaders, ministry leaders, I asked the question, so tell me, so when God shows up in a place, what happens? So when you ask that question, you get all kinds of answers, right? Oh, the blind see. Sure, happens sometimes, yeah. The dead are raised. All right, yeah.
Right.
The deaf hear, lame are walking.
Yeah.
There's revelation, there's all these, all these things can happen.
Yeah.
But I discovered there's one thing that's far more profound than any of these things that happens when God shows up. You know what it is?
Yes, sir.
When God shows up and pours out His Spirit on all flesh, everyone, that young man
Yes.
that never had a vision for his life because of the dysfunctional upbringing he was part of, a generation that we frown upon and point at saying, it will never become something.
Right.
That young man that's part of that generation, or woman,
right,
will catch a vision.
Yeah.
And that old man that has no longer dreamt, lost his dream
Right.
many years ago,
Right.
will suddenly dream again.
Yes.
So it's fair to ask the question that perhaps, could it be possible that us as leaders are mostly responsible to facilitate an environment for God to pour out His Spirit so that
Yes.
the people and community we serve can catch a vision, catch a dream a dream.
Yeah.
And those dreams manifesting will truly transform the world we live in.
Yeah.
And you know, I mentioned earlier today, I don't know who invented the words, the vision of the house, where the pastor gets up once a year to share the vision of the house,
Right.
recruit more membership. Can you buy into the vision of the house? Who came up with that dumb thing? I'm serious. Who do we think we are so that we are the ones providing vision for the people we serve?
Right.
No. All we have to do is to facilitate an event so that the people can catch their vision. That's how community is built.
Yeah.
It's the accumulative action and effort of all individuals coming into alignment with the truth of their being and catch a vision that ultimately transforms a society.
Come on.
A community.
Yeah.
And that, my friend, requires a different system.
Right.
Than what we've created.
Yeah.
I know.
It's good. It's good. There's so much there, but I'm going to just say my yes and amen, because it's that's the idea of, first of all, you know, the thing that burns in me and that we do hear often is, you know, who do you say that I am?
Yeah.
Jesus is what we look at. And if you see Him truly, it's the Father that reveals.
Whoever sees me.
Right?
Yeah.
Sees the Father. And so you have an encounter with the Father. And thus, now you have access to your identity.
Yeah.
And so your true identity.
It's all about that.
And when you've got access to your true identity, then that's not, you know, Peter's the rock upon which I'll build this. It wasn't Peter. It was that right there. It was access to a revelation of both who Jesus was and who we are in Him.
Yeah.
That then establishes a kingdom on earth where the gates of hell, you know, your yes on earth is a yes in heaven, and gates of hell can't prevail. But that then ties into, you know, the invitation to do community together in such 100%. A way where we're not.
Yeah. Through diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
And that's the old system doesn't allow for that to happen.
Right.
And why are you so upset about the system?
Yeah.
Because the systems we've become accustomed to are designed to counterproduce what we say we want to accomplish.
Yeah.
So think about, I don't know how much time we got.
Oh man, we've done all right.
How much have we ever done?
We're an hour and a half in, bro.
No, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta wrap up.
It's good though. It's good. I mean, I love this conversation because I feel like we're in a moment where, and you know, us personally, rethinking God with tacos, the ministry, Jason, the home church that we're gathering in right now, we're in a moment where our mutual friend, Engelhardt, was telling me the other day, he said, he'd heard a prophetic word, and I'm going to botch this. He probably told me who it was from. I don't remember, but in late 1990s, just before 2000, that we were coming into 25 years of, he didn't use the word, but essentially deconstruction, but a rethinking of who the Father is, a rediscovery and a realignment. The church is coming, and it'd be a radical shifting. And then he said, the same prophet said, but in 2025, from that season on, there's a rebuilding taking place, a new season where almost a reconstruction, if you put language around it. And I feel that.
If you haven't listened to Lecrae's new album, Reconstruction, that opening song on his album.
That's right on.
You can thank me later, but you want to listen to that.
And it's
called Reconstruction.
And that's the moment I feel like we're in which we're not afraid of structure or systems, which a lot of our conversations on a Saturday night, we get triggered by the very idea of needing to have a spot for the kids or something intentional. We get nervous about these things that we've seen. PTSD.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not that their structure and systems are the problem. It's that we are rediscovering how they serve what God has and what we're doing, and that's feel like the moment we're in, and it's a wonderful exploration. In which everyone has a part. I mean, that's the conversation we're having. Look, what is beautiful for what we're doing, our community? Okay, now, and you're helping us with that. Okay, how do we put a system in place that's going to serve more folks, that's going to provide connection opportunities to experience this kingdom come, right? On earth as it is in heaven, where the gates of hell can't prevail.
That's what it's all about.
This is the stuff. I've been wanting to have you on, bro. Okay, listen. We haven't talked tacos.
Tacos, oh man. I knew it was coming.
You knew it was coming. Let's talk tacos. You got a taco story? Have we had tacos together? I'm trying to think.
No, but my son took you on a taco tour.
Oh, that's right. So tell us about your kids, because I've met two of the three.
Yeah. So my oldest, Allison, you already mentioned her. She's brilliant, deep thinker, critical thinker.
Yeah.
Theologian.
She's got a master's in theology.
Yeah, and a degree in communication.
Yes.
So she has this perfect blend between business skills and spiritual awareness. And
she's amazing.
She's incredible. And then Andrew, he's my middle one.
Yeah.
He's a creative guy, creative genius.
Yeah.
I haven't really explained what I do for a living. Basically what I do is I help people turn their message into impact. That's what I do professionally. We're an hour and a half. People are already no longer going to listen to your podcast because
this is good, bro.
The other day he had this guy for over an hour and a half. Not going to listen to that anymore. Andrew's brilliant. Creates these events and creative experiences. He has this wine experience. He's calling that Studio Vin. That's the French word for wine.
Yeah.
And in unique settings and collaborations with other artists.
I love that. And he's a photographer.
Yes. So we have a magazine group, and he is the director of photography, and you've been on our magazine, so we've done some photo.
He took me on a taco tour.
Yeah.
And we went to 3 different taco joints. And Noah, who's on staff and did some of the audiobook. Yeah. And so the 3 of us went on a taco tour where we had tacos at each place, and then he took photographs. That's the best photo shoot that I think you could ever be on.
Yeah. It includes tacos. And then my youngest, Noah, he's 19. A couple of years ago, he was driving down the town where we live, and he drove by a funeral home, and he's like, because at that age, your guidance counselor, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Look at your career forward, and he's like me. I'm a high school dropout. Admittingly, story for a different time, and actually Steve Chalk's fault.
Yes,
told the story yesterday, right? But it's a bigger story. We don't have time for that. But he drove by this funeral home, and the school is trying to, help him define the career path and the college to choose and all this stuff. And he's like, I just want to quit school. So he drives by his funeral home. That sounds like an interesting place to work. So he walks in and said, I'm here to apply for a job. 17 years old.
Wow.
And they weren't hiring per se.
Right.
Like, he just walked in. He said, it seemed interesting. And they hired him. So next day I was driving around the hearse and stopping traffic for the...
Right.
I don't know what the word is. I'm still a foreigner trying to learn words. But the parade or the parade sounds festive. But it's a funeral procession.
Procession, I think. Yeah.
Stopping traffic and signing legal paperwork and moving bodies and
now
nuts. But then being in that industry for a couple of years, he's like, you know what? I see the dysfunction. I should start my own company. So he started a mortuary removal service.
Yes.
And the stories are endless, I tell you that. But he basically has a team now and multiple vehicles, and he transports deceased people that he picks up from all kinds of situations, because believe it or not, you don't choose where, when, and how you die.
Right. Yeah.
And you can only imagine
Yes.
what kind of scenarios.
Right,
and I help him out sometimes when he's short-staffed, and I go, so Dad, I got one second story. I need some help. But it's very meaningful because you get to interact with family. You meet them at the worst day of their life.
Yeah.
And we don't preach to them, but we minister to them.
Yeah.
And
I've not met him yet, but I look forward to it.
Interesting character, like the other two are.
Yeah.
And but why did you ask that?
Tacos, but
tacos.
But
yeah, so I have a complicated history with tacos. But I grew up in Holland, and we don't do Mexican food really well.
Right.
And when I married Amy, we went on honeymoon to Disney World.
Yeah.
And we decided to eat at Epcot in Mexico.
Yeah.
It was a big circle, all the countries, and Mexico. And I got food poisoning.
Oh no!
So that was my first encounter with what I thought was authentic Mexican food. So for a very long time, I didn't eat tacos.
Right. That's fair.
But I tell you, I've come around, and at least once a week, I would like to eat some tacos.
I think
Mexican food. One of my favorites is a little Asian place, believe it or not, that has tuna tacos.
We went to that one. I'm pretty sure. Or not me, but with your son.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. It was Asian. It was fish and Asian tacos.
It's very good.
Yes.
So
has a silver taco truck out front?
No, that's a different one. I know what you're talking about. But this is like a sushi place.
Okay.
And they have tacos.
Yeah.
Which is an Asian twist on that. But I eat any taco, really.
All right.
I just love tacos.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so maybe what we need to do is I'm taking you to the airport in about 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we got time to eat tacos.
Let's do it. Yeah.
But before we do that, share where folks can find you. And we didn't even. This is a beautiful book. That's his latest.
I'm gonna do like a shameless plug.
Yeah.
This book, Unorthodox. 40 disruptive thoughts that challenge conventional mindsets.
Yeah, beautiful images.
That's just me chronicling down the thought of the day and going back in time and just turning into that.
Yeah.
Post stuff on social media like that, but might as well repurpose that into book form. That's what that is.
Yeah.
But I know you have a big audience in the Netherlands, my home country.
Oh yeah, talk about that.
And I know there's people listening to this that perhaps know me or that speak Dutch. Hallo, hoe gaat het met u? There's an event going on on November 8th that I'm organizing with me and Amy, organized with our friends David and Joyce. It's called Simply Jesus, and it's with Paul Young
in the Netherlands.
Yes. And it's going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
It's going to create a very positive shockwave through the country. I believe that.
Yeah.
And it's on November 8th, simplyjesus.nl. So if you're in the Netherlands, and we actually have people from Canada, we have people from France, Belgium, that are joining us for that.
Yeah.
We're thinking of coming.
I'm hoping to go. Yeah.
We're talking to somebody today from Pennsylvania who's maybe going to come.
Right.
But it's going to be good. And if you're interested, I hope to see you there.
Yes.
But where can you find me? Well, that's a tricky one because my name is Martijn van Tilborgh. And it's that.com.
Spell it. MARTIJN.
You got it. VANTILBORGH.com. So not very practical. But it's kind of like Baxter, right? With perichoresis.
Right.
How do you spell that?
Yes.
I still don't know. But it's that social media. I don't have like a huge platform, but if people reach out, I typically answer and engage in conversation.
Yeah.
Mostly Facebook, some Instagram.
Yeah.
And I run a brand called Avail, which is we really haven't had time to talk about
It's
that.
right behind you. If you just move over.
Oh, there we go.
Look at that.
It is. This is a magazine.
Yeah. You saw it there. Yeah.
There you go. You're in it, right?
I am in that.
You're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan.
Anyways. So, theartofleadership.com, that's Avail. But yeah, you just Google my name, you'll find me.
Yeah. Love you, man. This has been good. I've been
been
wanting to have you on. These are the guys, by the way, responsible for the new Rethinking Guy with Tacos book and I think I said at the front end.
Yeah.
But I'm honored to get to know you, your family, and do life together.
Yeah, it's fun.
Looking forward to the next several years.
Yeah.
As we put new systems in place.
Yeah. So they have to do this.
Yeah. Good man. Love you.
All right. Thank you.